So I don't know how many of you are visitors here to campus, flew here, or drove. Last night at Mass I was talking to some families. It was a driving crowd last night, even huge distances, 800 miles, 2,000 miles, it's a lot of driving. Partly I think it's because airline travel is very complex these days, and sometimes it's easier to drive than to fly. I had a trip a month ago. It was one of those short trips, like 3 days, but each day is something different, so you have to do a lot of calculations about packing. Now, I wear mostly black, so this isn't overly calculating. But you have different events, so what do you bring? But the whole baggage issue does require some significant thought. First of all, are you going to check the bag or not? And if you check the bag, how heavy is it going to be? Because as you know, if it's an ounce over the 50 pounds, you might as well buy a first-class ticket to Tokyo for the cost they're going to. So you see people in the airports opening their bag and throwing stuff out to get it under the weight. All right, so that's checking the bag. If you're going to carry on, there's a whole nother drama because that involves thinking about what number is on the boarding pass, what zone. When do you get on the plane? Zone 1, 2, 3, or 4? I'm generally a 4. They lead you to believe that only zones 1 and 2 are going to be able to cram their carry-on in the overhead bin. Zones 3 and 4, we don't know if you're going to make it. But for $39.99, we can bounce you from zone 4 to zone 1. So you have to think about, what am I taking on with me, and is it going to fit in the bin? Not to mention the fact that you're going to get yelled on if it doesn't go wheels first into the bin. Now, this is a little bit of an aside, but on some airlines, the boarding area, they have this little 4-foot red carpet for your global travelers. I'm not mocking anyone who happens to be a global traveler, but it is funny. They invite you to board if you're a Global Alliance member with 80 kabillion miles, and you get to walk over the red carpet. And once the people do that, then they pull the drawstring over and close that, and then right next to it, open the other one. So I'm in the gate watching this happen, and they closed it off and started with zone 1, zone 2. Well, some passenger who was delayed getting to the gate was a global person, and he went on the red carpet and stood there even though it was already closed, and he waited for them to open it. I was like, dude, just go this way. Anyway, if you watch people who travel a lot, it's clear the best thing, if you can, is to travel light. You look at stewards, stewardesses, pilots. They just wheel their life behind them in very kind of compact ways. The greatest thing, of course, would be to travel with nothing, but you'd need a huge credit card balance to buy clothes everywhere you went. But traveling light these days is the way to go, clearly. In our gospel today, Jesus, we hear the continuation of the journey to Jerusalem. Jesus knows what awaits him in Jerusalem. He knows that he's been rejected, that he will probably be arrested, that there will be a trial. Given that it's the Romans, there will probably be some rough treatment, and most likely he's going to be executed. A very large crowd is following him, but it is composed mostly of admirers, not of disciples. And Jesus is concerned about their being able to stick with it over the long haul. Not just stick with it through the events of Jerusalem, but Jesus knows that the time from his ascension until his return in glory could be a while. And in fact, we are living in that time now. And he wants to make sure that the people who are following him have what it takes to be faithful disciples. So he turns around and he says to them, you have to travel light for this to work. All the stuff you're bringing with you that is going to distract you from following me, from picking up your cross, from living the Christian life, you have to let go of. Now, I think we generally travel light until we hit about age 8. And then what happens is, out on the playground or in gym class or something, we look at our classmate for the first time and think, he's better at soccer than I am. Or she plays a musical instrument. Or she has possessions that I don't have. We start comparing ourselves. And from that point on, it's like we're made of flypaper, and stuff just sticks to us. We start accumulating jealousies and hurts and resentments and fears and some anger. And it's just like dragging huge suitcases behind us. Because what it does is it affects how we relate to the people around us. We go through a calculation. I'm supposed to be nice and compassionate, loving to this person, but what has this person done to me in the past? I'm still angry at this person. I'm jealous about this person. The baggage gets in the way of the call to discipleship. The same with our material possessions. As we grow older, we accumulate a lot of stuff, and it can get in the way. If we're honest, we probably all have some things that are more important to us than some of the people in our life. Jesus invites us to examine our lives continuously and say, what are the things, the attitudes, the emotions that I carry around with me that get in the way of my being able to respond the way I am called to respond to the needs of others? Our second reading, Paul is asking someone, Philemon, to open his heart to someone who had betrayed him. Onesimus was Philemon's slave and had run away. There's a lot of hurt there. And Paul is saying, let that go. Be like Christ. Let it go. Welcome him back as a brother. All of us travel through life with a lot of stuff. But you know what? Let me tell you this. All of us are on a journey to eternal life. The only thing we can bring with us is the love we have given and received. All the other stuff, all our material possessions, all the anger and jealousy and competitiveness and insecurity, all of that stuff stops at the gate. And no amount of frequent flyer miles or coupons or extra money can get that stuff through the gate. So why do we carry it with us all the way to the gate? And that's the invitation of Jesus. Look what is weighing you down and get rid of it. Be able to respond to me with your whole heart and mind and soul, so that when the situation arises, as it does every day, in which we are called to be like Christ, we can say, "Here I am, Lord. I have come to do your will."